Welcome everyone to today's LinkedIn Live. I'm Bruce Eckfeldt. I'm your moderator and host. I'm going to introduce our guests in just a second, but I want to get our topic on the table, take care of a little housekeeping. So today's topic for our LinkedIn Live is before you can lead others, you must lead yourself first. I'm excited about this one. I think this is something we don't cover enough. I think this is something that a lot of leaders kind of miss. So I'm excited to get into this one. I know it was a process for me, and I'm sure people are going to get some really good insights and some ideas out of this. So before we get into things, if you're watching here on LinkedIn and if you have a comment or question, go ahead and put that into the comments on the LinkedIn page there. We'll get that. I'll try to weave those in as I see them. We're also streaming on YouTube. If you have a question or comment and you're watching on YouTube, jump over to LinkedIn. I'm not going to watch the YouTube comment. So put it over there and we'll try to weave it into the conversation today. If you are watching the replay on any platform, go ahead and put comments and questions onto the pages there. We'll watch those in the coming days and weeks and try to respond to people there. So even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put that on and we'll try to get to them. Let's get to our guests. First up, I've got Kelly Babcock. She has built a career helping individuals and teams align their core values with their leadership style. Kelly draws on years of hands-on leadership experience and coaching to eliminate the path from internal beliefs to external impact. With all that, Kelly, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on. Next up, I've got Terry Norvell. She specializes in mindset transformations and positive intelligence, which we're going to hear more about. She partners with emerging and seasoned leaders to strengthen their emotional and spiritual core in order to create lasting change. Terry, welcome.
Thank you, Bruce. Happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise. Happy to have you on. So let's get into it. I think I think even the topic here, the title of the program, leading yourself first. I'd love to just kind of get your take on what does that actually mean? Because I think we kind of throw that around. We talk about leadership a lot. What does actually leading yourself mean for each of you? Terry, why don't we start with you? Just give us kind of your working definition of what that means.
Thank you. It's a big question, and we'll synthesize it down. My brain goes back to Plato. I don't know. Ooh. That's where it goes, right? Know thyself.
Yeah.
That's Greek wisdom. That's wisdom of the ages. And yet how many people really don't understand what's going on within themselves? With neuroscience, the study of the brain, it's really... we're not that difficult, and yet we are that difficult.
Yeah.
Awareness is the first step, and yet how often do people not take the time to know themselves and lead themselves? I often say, if people knew better, they would do better. They just don't understand. And that's why I love this topic here today, Bruce, because we'll give some tools and some techniques so people can better understand what's going on. Yeah. I'm going to quote Kelly before she jumps in here. Ooh. We're getting results every day. Are people getting the results that they want?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Kelly, that's a handout.
All right, Kelly. Yeah, that's yours.
Right.
How do you define it?
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. What I found in just in the experience of time, right, and watching and being a leader, watching other leaders, helping growing other leaders. We often think of leadership as being out there, right? Something external, when in actuality, leadership is very much an inside job, right? It starts with, who you are is how you lead. And so to Terry's point, if you don't know who you are and you are really just focused on those external variables that go into leading teams to business results, then there's just a big black hole there of that's just rich for possibility and opportunity. And Terry and I we are big believers in letting people know right up front that leadership development and leadership growth really is an inside job. It starts with you. And so to the degree that you are personally effective, then you're going to be professionally effective, right? And so there's a whole host of skills, like tangible, concrete skills that you can learn and grow and develop and improve upon, even if you are leading people today. It's not like, the chicken and the egg. I mean, if you're in a leadership role, then by golly, this LinkedIn Live is for you.
Yeah.
If you've never done any of the internal work, I like to use an example of the leader. And, Marcus Buckingham's definition of a leader is someone who has followers. So let's go with that. So you're leading a team, and yet your team sees how disorganized you are, that you never show up to meetings on time, that you consistently cancel meetings, that you can't manage your own calendar well, that, that there are personal signs of stress or strain that show up in how you manage, how you delegate, how you communicate. That's what we're talking about in terms of managing yourself, leading yourself.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting one. The way I kind of always phrased it is kind of the shift from a geocentric to heliocentric kind of universe model, right? Where it's just like, if you navigate the world, particularly in leadership roles, if you navigate the world with this kind of like, well, I'm assuming that my view is right and the right way to see it, or the only way to see it, that's going to cause problems. And the more I can appreciate that I have my own biases, I have my own kind of perspectives, but that not only made it not be the other person's, but it might not be kind of truth or the most effective view to have on it. And the more I can kind of understand those tendencies, those biases, the kind of patterns that I have, and while it might be difficult to completely change myself, or changing myself might take a lot of work, appreciating that I have that is kind of the first step in understanding. It's like, okay, well, I get this is the way I see it, but that may not be right. And they're certainly going to see it another way. In fact, we probably need to find a third way to see it that is going to help both of us. But I think that realization is really that first step. And I certainly run into a lot of leaders that haven't done that.
Bruce, absolutely. It goes back to what Terry said about awareness.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're aware that you have a bias.
Yeah.
You're aware that your perspective may not be correct. Terry, do you want to say a little bit about perspective? Because that's where my brain went.
That's where my brain went. Of course, but first I have to do a shout out to Steve Woods and to Hashem, our faithful followers. I don't know how you found us on this.
Oh,
podcast.
You guys. That's amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. So, Bruce, if only everyone were able to say what you just said, the world would be a better place, right? It would be easier to navigate. The teams would have an easier time with their leaders, because it comes back to perspective. Your perspective determines your life. That is one of our isms, right? And yet, how many people don't understand that we have so many fun graphics. Do you see a bird or do you see a goat? And some people only see one or the other until they open their eyes. It's like, oh my gosh, it's both. It's not just my way. What if everyone on your team sees it different? And it's the emperor has no clothes. No one's willing to tell you, because you're not open, growth minded enough to receive that insight. So this might sound, I don't know, crass.
Dude, go for it. Do it.
Ellie and I, we really only work with people who are open-minded, are growth-oriented, because we're not here to change people that don't want to evolve.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, and I think you said something, Bruce, that is along those lines of, we don't really have to change. It's not really about changing who we are so much as becoming aware of who we are. And then how do we elevate that, right? How do we enrich that? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing broken or I like to say that we're all creative, resourceful, and whole. And yet, what could we, if we elevated a specific skill or changed a behavior, would allow us to be that much more effective as a leader of other human beings, right? Because that's where it gets dicey, because we all bring ourselves to the table.
Yeah, I think of it as a toolbox, right? It's like I've certainly worked with a lot of leaders who they're great at swinging hammers, right? And they can pound nails better than anyone else in the world. But the moment they're running to a screw, it's like, okay, well, now they can't work. Like they're just completely ineffective, right? Because they're just so focused on a particular strategy or a particular way of solving a problem. And like I find a good executive, a good leader has a broad toolbox, and they know, like, okay, this is an hammer. I'm gonna hammer it, and this is a screw. I've got to use a different tool here. Like, trying to hammer a screw is not going to get me very far.
Yeah, we use golf. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
No, same thing. Golf clubs, tool belts. That's what Kelly and I do. We serve up different tools because there's not one tool. It's that red pill, blue pill. Which one? It's like it doesn't work that way. It's like different tools for different people because everyone comes to the conversation of personal growth, personal effectiveness, evolution, transformation, whatever nice word we want to use, from their own starting point.
That's true.
So many things I want to ask here. Let's start with that. How do you develop that awareness? Because I think we've identified that being aware is kind of the key to developing and evolving as a leader. What are some ways that you can actually help people become aware? So they want to become aware, but they don't know how. Like, what are some tools that you've used to actually do this?
Oh my gosh, Bruce, this is fully loaded. I'm going to channel Kelly. We are assessment junkies. We love, because it's unbiased. We have assessments that are unbiased. And there's some that are biased, that, a little bit of a slant. And I know we wanted to get into some, IQ, EQ, PQ, and there's all three are great for self-awareness. We look at them as a three-legged stool, right? IQ, your intelligence, will get you the job. EQ, your emotional intelligence, will really help you in working with your people. And yet, what we've found is that PQ, which is not on the radar of very many people, positive intelligence, is insight into yourself.
Interesting. Okay. But tell me more about that. Like, what is it that you actually gain, or what is the insight that you gain from positive intelligence?
Rocked my world, changed my life when I discovered this tool. So let me just start with that. It's about identifying the voices in your head. So while EQ is sure self-awareness and how you work with others, PQ is indeed that let's start with myself. Because we know we all have voice. Oh, this is funny. Oftentimes in seminars, I'll say, raise your hands if you have voices in your head. And like, they don't want to raise their hands. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You'll be committed by the end of the session.
Right. Well, they're usually saying something to themselves, right? They're usually looking at us like, I don't know. I don't have a voice in my head. And we're like, that's the voice we're talking about.
The person that's telling you don't have a voice in your head is the voice in your head.
Is the voice in your head. So it's calling it out, right? There's a free assessment that we can give the code to. There are 10 different voices. The judge is the master saboteur. And I'll bottom line it. If your self-talk is saying anything other than, if it's saying you're not good enough, if you're not worthy enough, you don't got what it takes. If it's not kind, loving, supportive, and encouraging, you're sabotaging yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting. I did a bunch of IFS work, internal family system kind of work, and it was fascinating to kind of find these parts of myself. And I actually gave them names. So I have a Johnny Cochran, which is my internal litigator, right? Which loves just to win arguments. And it's so funny once you kind of identify these parts of yourselves, and even kind of giving them names is kind of fun, because you'd be like, oh, here's Johnny. Like, why is Johnny, like, what's going on in here? Why does Johnny want to take control all of a sudden? Like, and then I can get into, okay, what are the underlying fears? What are the things that are kind of driving me from a kind of scarcity mindset point of view? And then you can choose, right? Then you can say, okay, do I want Johnny to drive? Maybe this actually is a great job for Johnny and I should let him run. But maybe I'm kind of like, you know what? I get it, Johnny, take a seat. We're going to think about this a little bit more holistically. But until you kind of actually can see that and start putting names and understand it, it's hard to.
Bruce, that's one of the techniques that we offer up, is just name it, right? Because the goal isn't really to never hear the voice again, right? It's the goal is for Johnny, not for Johnny to never show up again. It's when Johnny takes things to extreme and it impacts you negatively, right? Or someone else in your life negatively. And so that's why it is important. Once you label it and you name it, it almost demystifies it. And it turns you're gamifying it. And it's just like, oh, well, here he is again. Mine is Slick Sister, because she's just so slick. Man, she slides in there before you even know it. And I can't kill her because she's blood related. So the aim is the more aware you are of which voice you're listening to, which voice directs your and informs your decision making.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way you show up and lead other people, then that you become it becomes easier to sort of exercise a couple of mental muscles where you intercept it. So the goal isn't for it to never show up.
Yeah, exactly.
The goal is to manage it when it does and ask yourself those questions. How is this serving me? Is it helping me or hurting me? You know, is it holding me back or moving me forward? And when you can answer those types of questions, that voice, you can put it on sabbatical pretty quick. And then honestly choose the more positive voice, right? Which we call engaging the sage, the part of you that is the most positive, the strongest, truest essence of who you are. And then, you know what? The third mental muscle is just like going to the gym and lifting weights. You just got to repeat it, right? It's about reps. I mean, you just have to repeat it over and over and over again. It's just about that repetition.
Yeah.
And you know what I found so helpful about positive intelligence is really understanding where those voices came from. Because my mind, I'm curious, right? I like to go to the source. This is probably why I started with Plato. And these voices were our survival mechanisms when we were children.
Coping.
So coping, right? So we all have them. Even if you have an ideal childhood, you know, in the past, it's like you still are going to have some voices that are survival just to navigate childhood. But here's the thing. So while we needed them when we were young, it's like you fall and you break your arm and put a cast on. You take your cast off when your arm is healed. Now we're each older, we're more aware. We don't need these voices.
We don't need the cast anymore
to survive.
Well, I'll go even a little farther on that one, because I think even if you take the cast off, if your nervous system is still programmed to assume that you have that injury, right, you're not going to perform in the same way. So I think a lot of this is kind of retraining your nervous system to be, hey, look, I know we had that injury, and I know for a while we couldn't move in that way, or, you know, doing that move was going to be risky, or physically we're fine now. But it takes a while for the nervous system to kind of really trust that. And so I think a lot of that behavior, a lot of the leadership behavioral challenges that I've seen, it's like, you know, people are stuck in a subconscious response to things. And until we really kind of retrain that nervous system response, that kind of automatic thinking response to things, it's going to be hard, right? You're going to fight. It's going to take a lot of effort. But the more you, and then, like you said, it's reps, right? It just takes a lot of time.
Absolutely. And I want to add to that, Bruce, because it's so, it's so apropos. You asked, how do you become more self-aware, right? Yeah. Well, it's having that accountability partner or that trusted, spouse, friend, family member, whoever, who will call you out. The first thing we do is we ask for permission to call it when someone speaks from a saboteur voice. We tell them, whose voice is that? Like, which voice is that? And do you really, do you really want to make a decision based on that one? And that having it called out, right? Like you said, name it, call it out. Those saboteur voices, I'll tell you what they hate. They hate facts. So you start lining up the facts, and boy, it really begins to, it's like throwing water on the wicked witch, right? It just begins to dissipate the power of that voice. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Not so fast. Let me speak the truth here. And then that voice begins to get quieter and quieter and quieter with repetition over time. Yeah. You can see why that's so impactful and powerful for a leader in terms of leading themselves first. Because, man, if you're struggling with that inner trust and which voice are you listening to, and you're kind of doing battle and you're listening to a saboteur negative voice, then, you're not showing up with, inner trust, as we like to say, manifest outwardly as confidence. Yeah. So if you want people to line up behind you, you have to show up with confidence.
Maybe a somewhat of a random question around this. One thing I find is context has a huge, I think, impact over performance. And I've certainly worked with leaders who are, do amazing, high performance, great results in one context. You put them in a different context and they fail miserably. And I find that that context shift and understanding what context you're, highly suited for and can be, are kind of firing all cylinders, and then being careful of like when that context switches. It's like, I mean, generally it's because they try to use the same strategies and techniques and they kind of, but it's no longer applicable in this new context. How do you deal with context, or how do you kind of evaluate or help people appreciate switching context, how it's going to impact what they need to do and how they show up?
You know what pops in
Yeah.
immediately, Bruce, is an owner, a CEO that we worked with, and it goes back to values,
Uh-huh.
right? In what hat, like what group of values. So when he was at work, he had a certain hat
Mhm.
on. When he went to his school, his children's school thing, he put on another hat. When he was with his wife, he put on another hat. When he did his volunteer, I'm like, that is so overwhelming and confusing. Like which hat,
Yeah.
what,
Mm.
if you distill it down to go back to who
Uh-huh.
you are, knowing your values, your top value, your top three, your top, maybe top five, and you have that as your true north, no matter the
Uh-huh.
context, I understand what's most important and how I'm going to show up
Mm.
because I have clarity about what's important and the
Yeah.
impact, no matter the situation.
Well, I want to tag on to that
Yeah.
because here's the thing. I think you start there too. And when you get into, like you mentioned, the context shifts and their tools or their skills no longer serve them over here. I think of the work by Marcus Buckingham in understanding where your strengths really are,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, if you've already identified what you love about what you do and what you're good at and what you loathe about what you do, right? Again, it's the awareness. I had one of my favorite coaching questions of all time is if you take your to-do list and you take a look at that comprehensive to-do list,
Mhm.
what would you move to number one that you would do first all day, every day, and almost for free?
Mm.
And that gives you some guidance into, man, I also, Terry, what put me in mind of that was the 3 E's that we like to talk about. Is it effortless?
Mhm.
Is it energizing? Does it feel essential? Effortless, energizing, and essential. And if it is, then you're probably in your sweet spot. I mean, you're probably in the zone with, firing on all cylinders with the skills that you bring to the table. And you're so confident in your values and what's important to you
Yeah.
that you can then, when the context shifts, you have the confidence to say, that's not my wheelhouse. I gotta pull in a different resource, or I've got to call in a different expert, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Leaders are so afraid to say, I don't know.
Well, and I think so, and it feels so antithetical sometimes. But I had it was a author that was writing a book and he was interviewing all these kind of successful business people, and one of the things that he said, which is fascinating, is that people that create companies that generate $1 million in revenue have figured out the 5 things they do really, really well.
Mm.
The people that generate companies that do 10 million in revenues, they figured out the 3 things they do really, really
That's
well.
exactly right.
And the people that go over 100 million in revenue, they figured out the one thing they do really, really well. And they
Yeah.
focus on that. And it, like I said, it seems so antithetical. It's like, as the business gets bigger, it's more complicated. I need to be better at many more things.
No.
It's the reverse. It's like the more I need to kind of focus on those 3 E's, right? The thing that puts me in flow state, that I enjoy doing, like I'm naturally motivated to do,
Mhm.
and has a high impact, to the organization and to the market that I'm operating in. But we get so
Yeah.
caught up in like, I need to be able to get at everything, right? I don't want to have to depend on other people. I want to have a lot of control over everything, and that's what kills it.
Exactly. And we have this beautiful chart that says growth and control are inversely, they're like, no. And yet we work with so many owners and leaders who are in that like stage 3, stage 4, where you have to let go to grow.
Uh-huh.
To your point, Bruce, they just, even when they know, we teach them how,
Uh-huh.
there is such reluctance until they have enough proof. My word is proof. Kelly's is evidence that the shift will deliver the results. results either productivity or, really important, the bottom line on the financial sheet, right?
Yeah.
It's a journey to get people to embrace that.
Well, and it can be so profound when, especially when we're dealing with entrepreneurs who are in highly specialized or highly technical that require. I'm thinking CPAs, pharmacists, right?
Classic.
To shift their perspective from being just that. I'm a CPA, I'm a pharmacist, when in actuality, the mindset shift is you are an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk about outcomes. You begin to behave differently when you see yourself different. When you see yourself different, you begin to behave differently. And then the results show, right? Yeah. I mean, our formula is that. That's, the leadership growth formula is pretty doggone simple. I mean, it's, listen, internal change plus external action equals the desired result.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to almost reverse engineer it. You got to know what you want. What is my desired result? And dollars to donuts, I will have to shift how I think about it. I will probably have to have some internal perspective change or aha or awareness about how I need to look at this differently in order to choose external behaviors, external actions that will drive me toward that desired result. So it may look like a simple equation, and we know it's not easy.
Well, that doesn't mean it's easy. Just because it's simple, it doesn't mean it's easy.
That's exactly
right. I'm curious about this because I have run into this a lot. Like I work with these kind of brilliant technologists and security experts and coders, and they are brilliant. In fact, some of these people really are the best in the world at this stuff.
Right.
And so, but it's really hard for them to then acknowledge and trust that if I want to scale this business, I'm going to have to rely on people who actually are not as good as me. And it's hard because their ego they have defined themselves as being like the best security expert in the world. Mm-hmm. And until they make that shift, that sort of identity ego shift to being, okay, I'm now an entrepreneur and I need to figure out how to be the best entrepreneur in the world. And I need to give that up, like letting that go. I mean, honestly, like it's probably 50-50 that I've found that happens. Like 50% of the people actually do that. The other 50%, we say, okay, you're going to be chief scientist and we're going to hire a bunch of executives over you and you're going to own the company, you're going to have equity, but you're not going to run the company. Right. How do you help them shift some of that ego connection, defining who I am issue?
It's a journey. It's a journey, Bruce. Yeah. It is. We have tools. I'm going to go back to assessments. There's one in particular. We were working with 2 different clients, and they were to that point in their organization to let go to grow. One said, "Oh hell no, I don't want to do that. I just want to be, the best at what I do." Mm-hmm. Had to hire in a CEO because he did not want to do that. The other one said, "Oh, hell yes. I want to learn how to be a CEO for my company." And started they were, pretty equal as organizations, 2 different industries, and they chose different paths.
Yeah.
It's that awareness of what do they want. Yeah. And that's where a good coach comes in, right? Yeah. You're rather reflecting back and hand holding, and yet they're the ones that have to do the work.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like really cracking the code on that is, what do you really want? And it's an easy question to ask, a terrifically difficult one to answer.
Yeah.
Like, what do you really want here?
Yeah.
Your ego is only going to carry you so far. and quite frankly, the ego is being driven by a voice that, maybe, I mean, like, how sustainable is that, right? And so it's, here's what happens. Generally, the folks that we work with, to Terry's point, they have seen evidence or maybe other colleagues or friends that have just, crashed and burned and imploded and have not been able to, their formula wasn't working for them. Right?
Yep.
So they're like, okay, I give, like, I know it's me, I'm the one that has the issue. It's not, we always joke about, gosh, if our employees would only just do what they are supposed to do, my life as a leader would be so much easier. And you're like, it's not them. If you're not getting what you want out of your team, newsflash, it's you.
Yeah.
It's you.
And honestly, when people go, oh, wow, you're right. Those are the ones they even preempt it by going, hey, I know this is me. I know this is all me. And I'm the one who has to do the work. Those are the ones that we tend to have the greatest success with, right? I mean, without question. And, different types of success, because part of what we're here to do is live. We're just human beings. And so it's like, everywhere you go, there you are. And so when you start, I think it's like a domino effect, right? It's sort of a catalyst. And when you crack open one area of your life, I mean, it's amazing how it spills over into all other areas.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think one of the things I definitely, will kind of talk to leaders that I work with about, and we try to find is, sometime in their life, they kind of hit rock bottom and they had to recreate or rebuild themselves and things like that, and kind of go back to that period and say, okay, well, like you have the ability, you can make some, fundamental substantive changes to how you see the world, how you see yourself. Sometimes it's pretty far back, but if we can tap back into that and reuse kind of that energy, that can be a big one. If they've never had that, then I find it's oftentimes more of a challenge because they haven't had to go through that process.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, because you're tapping back into their experience and pulling it forward. And one thing I want to add here, because we started with, who you are and leading yourself first and perspective. There is one perspective shift that if people can make this, that obstacles are opportunities in disguise. If they can just shift that it's challenges and obstacles, it's not there to frustrate them or to thwart them. It's like, okay, everything in life shows up for me, not against me. How can I shift my perspective to see what's going on with a positive lens rather than a negative? Life changes.
Yep. Yeah, I think I've got the obstacles the way somewhere on one of these bookshelves.
Obstacle, thank you, Ryan. Holidays.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah,
we're gonna hit time here. I've got another 50 questions that I'd want to ask, and we could spend the rest of the day, I'm sure, going on it. But we're hitting our time here. I want to make sure people have contact information. So Terry, if people want to find out more about you, the work that you're doing, what's the best way to get that?
They can go to, it's really simple, leadershipgrowthformula.com. We're on all the social platforms. It's really easy. It's Terry at leadershipgrowthformula.com or Kelly at leadershipgrowthformula.com. So we're pretty accessible and we love interacting with people. We're here to do a service to really serve up tools that help people have more joy, ease, and effectiveness in their lives.
I mean, we're lucky, Bruce. We're at a place and stage in our lives where our mission is really simple. It's to help people be better leaders.
Period.
We're alongside. We're here to support and help.
Again, another one of those simple but complex. or just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy.
That's exactly right. Wow, what a joy it's been. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time today. If people want to get a hold of me, just bruce@eckfeldt.com is my email and eckfeldt.com is my URL. And then we're all on LinkedIn here, so feel free to click through. Again, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and leave comments and questions, either in general for any one of us. We'll watch those and we'll get back to people as we go. So Kelly and Terry, thank you so much again. And thank you to all the audience for watching today.
Thank you.